Yo, what's going on everybody? Hope everybody is doing well. Today we're going to be talking about the main Warframe that I personally enjoy the most in this game, and that is none other than the legend himself, Chroma. Before we get into that though, real quick, just wanted to say thank you guys so much for all the support. We recently hit 1,000 subs on the channel, and I just wanted to personally say thank you. There are many reasons why I love Warframe, and Chroma right here is a big part of that. He's the Warframe I got the most playtime on, and it's just because he's so awesome, man. Everything he offers is so cool. You can have a double bullet jump or just straight up an extra jump. You get an armor and damage buff, as well as an AoE defensive buff, and honestly, he's just the Warframe I enjoy the most whenever I'm actually playing the game. So let's go ahead and go over his kit, starting with his passive. His passive allows him to get an extra jump mid-air or an extra bullet jump. Now, while that by itself is honestly pretty nice, his passive also has another effect. Depending on your primary emission color with Chroma, will actually determine the element he starts out with, and as you can see right here, I have my primary emission set to blue, and you can see the electricity symbol next to it. But if you're looking for heat, toxin, or cold, you could just change the color and match the color of the element you seek. On to his first ability, which I actually ended up replacing with Nourish. Now, don't get it wrong, Spectral Scream is pretty cool, but Nourish is still one of the best, if not the best, helmet ability in the game, even after the Dante Unbound nerf. And the reason is because this ability has 3 different buffs. The first one is an energy multiplier that allows you to straight up get more energy from all energy sources. It also applies viral damage to enemies in range whenever you're hit, and any enemies affected are also hit with 1 viral stack. And the last effect with this ability is actually a viral weapon damage bonus. All that in one ability on a Warframe like Chroma? Yeah, let me get that. Next up, we got his second ability, which is called Elemental Ward. With this ability, Chroma emits an elemental energy aura that has offensive and defensive buffs. And normally, with his first default ability, Spectral Scream, you can actually change the alignment of these elements so you can get any of the 4 element buffs with this ability. However, because the alignment of the abilities is actually based on the first ability, and we replaced that with Nourish, we don't actually have access to that feature, which means the buff Elemental Ward grants is actually based on the primary emission color. Because as I said earlier when we were talking about the passive, the primary emission color actually determines what element he starts with, and on my personal Chroma build, I like to rock blue so I can get electricity, and that is because the electricity buff is actually pretty cool. Electricity infuses Chroma with an electrical current that not only looks absolutely badass, but it also increases Chroma's base shields and converts any incoming damage into arc discharges. These arc discharges actually have a 10 times damage multiplier, meaning they inflict 1,000% incoming damage as electricity. And the final damage of the arc discharge is actually determined by the amount of health or shields you lost by the incoming damage. So it's a pretty nice passive way of doing damage. Next up, we got his third ability, which is called Vex Armor. This right here is honestly Chroma's most iconic ability, and it's definitely his best ability. With this ability, Chroma enters a state of rage that gives him an armor and damage buff. The armor buff is called Scorn, and the damage buff is called Fury. Whenever your shields are hit, you receive the Scorn buff that increases your armor, and whenever your health is hit, you receive the Fury buff, which increases your weapon damage and your ability based damage. And all of these bonuses are linearly affected by ability strength, so the more ability strength you have, the higher these buffs can go. Not only is this ability so clutch for survival, but it can straight up make your weapons do significant more damage than without the buff. And one cool thing about this ability, not only are you increasing damage by an absolute significant amount on your own, if there are multiple Chromas with a Scorn and Fury buff, they actually stack together so you get even more damage. You can just straight up walk next to them and give them a boost. It's so amazing, and it's just another reason on why I love Chroma. And finally, for his fourth ability, we got Effigy. With this ability, Chroma sheds his Pelt, and it literally becomes a sentry summoning. The Pelt is infused with elemental energy, and it also displays the same wings as Chroma. It's a floating sentry that attacks all enemies within range, and the damage is based off of the elemental choice. And not only can you boost the ability's damage with his third ability, Vex Armor, but enemies killed by the Pelt actually drop extra credits. This ability actually drains energy per second, and it also reduces Chroma's armor. And the worst part about that is the armor reduction is actually a 50% armor reduction, so it's really not the greatest, but you do gain a plus 20% to movement speed. I don't really find myself using Effigy that often, unless I specifically have the augment mod with this ability. That's a whole entire separate build. This build right here is just made for me to straight up walk around any mission I please and kill everything, especially with the weapons that I like to bring. I almost always have an Exodia Contagion Zal with Chroma, and the damage you can do with a buff like Vex Armor is absolutely absolutely stunning. And to be honest, this right here is exactly why I main Chroma. Exodia Contagion Zaws are already my favorite melee weapons, and when you pair that with my favorite Warframe and my favorite damage buff in the game, you could just do millions and billions of damage. It's honestly amazing. Let's go ahead and go over the mod setup that I got on Chroma. I got Steel Charge for a tiny little bit of melee damage. In the Excellus mod slot, I got Power Drift for a little bit of extra ability strength, as well as a knockdown resist chance. I got Blind Rage for extra ability strength. I got Rolling Guard to get rid of a status easily just by rolling. I have 3 Umbral mods because I love the bonus these mods give. I got Equilibrium so I can get health every time I pick up energy, and energy every time I pick up health. I got Transient Fortitude for extra ability strength, and then I got Primed Flow for extra energy. This allows me to get over 800 energy, and as you can see on my Chroma, I got 5 purple Archon shards, and all of them give me a bonus to my melee critical damage, which makes my favorite melee weapon have an absolute insane critical multiplier. For the Arcanes, I got Molt Augmented so I can increase my ability strength per kill, and this stacks up to 250 times. And then I got Arcane Energized so I can have a chance of getting extra energy every time I pick up an energy orb. Whether it's level 1000 Steel Path missions or any single other event in the game, 9 times out of 10 I like to bring Chroma Prime, especially if it's the first time I'm actually clearing an event. The Destruction Dragon himself will always be my favorite. And yeah guys, that's pretty much gonna be it for this video. Let me know what you guys think of Chroma and my Chroma King of Hell build down below. Before the video ends, real quick, just wanted to say thank you guys so much for all the support on the channel. And yeah guys, that's gonna be it for me. With that being said, thanks for watching.